Where'd you grow up?
A few different places: Jersey, New York, Puerto Rico. Finished high school in Puerto Rico.
How was that?
It was great. It was a great experience. Living in the city and then going to country life. It was different.
Who was in Puerto Rico?
I have family there. That's where my family's from. We have some land out there, so once my parents retired, we moved there.
So who was living in Jersey and New York? You had family there too?
I've got a lot of family there. My family migrated from Puerto Rico in the 50s to New York. hmm
So when was your release date?
My release date was July 2nd of 2021. So I've been home for a little over a year now.
That's been a blessing.
Yeah. I never thought I'd get here. When you're in there, time goes by so slow. So,
Can you talk about what led to your incarceration?
sure. Single mother, fell on hard times. Family member came down from New York, and I got involved in some shady drug activity, and that's what led into my incarceration for 7 years.
And what charges were you facing?
Drug trafficking, cocaine. I served 6 for good behavior.
So what was that moment like when you was going through that whole court case, knowing that it's a chance that you be facing 7 years, like you having a young son as well?
Yeah, my son was little. My mother was old, and it was heartbreaking. I've heard from different girls that did time. The way you react to your sentences, it says a lot. I was devastated, by the time that I was facing, without my family, without my son. It was hard.
And that was your first charge. So take me through that process. Now, you got out on bond.
I posted bond, and then I fought my case for a couple of years. Took a plea agreement for 7.
Your lawyer advised you at that time that that was probably the best.
That was the best outcome for me. Yep.
So what went through your mind once?
Yeah, I was mostly afraid of leaving the life that I had created for myself within those 2 years. That I fought my case. I changed my life around, and everything seemed to be coming together. And then to have to create that and leave everything, it was stressful, sad.
So I know the hardest part was leaving your son.
Yeah, it
What age was he?
was 5.
So once you went to prison, who took care of your son?
My sister. My sister took him, and then his father took him as well for a couple of years. So we had family. He was in good hands. That gave me some solace while I was incarcerated, knowing that he was okay. You know,
So what was the hardest part when you had to interact as far as from prison with your son? Was that very difficult?
yeah, it was difficult because he didn't understand. He was so small, and he didn't understand what was happening. We never spent more than maybe a night or two away from each other, and having to have him see me in that state, it was hard. It was hard for the whole family.
Take me through the first week of
Oof.
being in prison.
I like to describe it as a comedy show in a way, because I like to see things in life in a comical manner. But I was a little shell shocked, because I'd never been in that situation. When I was arrested, I bonded out right away. So I wasn't used to that life, and the adjustment of being stripped from my name and identity. You know, it was a lot.
So was it a certain time that you felt more comfortable that you got adjusted? Like what was that period?
I acclimate very easily with anything in my life, and I just try to adjust the best that I could. Just observing and doing what I was supposed to do so I can get home as soon as possible.
Now, for you with the trafficking charge, you didn't have any issues with substance use
No.
before you went in. It
Mm-mm.
was pretty much
The
just
money.
trying to make money.
Yeah, it was money. That's also an addiction, you know? It was the money.
So, with that situation of knowing that it was a family member, like how did that make you feel? Betrayed?
Yeah, I was betrayed, you know? I couldn't believe that my own family, threw me under the bus, you know?
Now, at first, you didn't know that right away.
Mm-mm,
What
no.
transpired? So, when you heard that in court documents,
Mm-hmm.
like, was it anger? Was it
Yeah, yeah. I was angry. I mean, who wouldn't, you know? I was angry, and I stayed angry for many years. Many years.
did it shock you knowing that that was
Yeah, no, I
happening?
didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. It took me having to read, and hear my lawyer tell me over and over again it was, family member, So it was a big shock.
Now that relationship with that family member didn't exist anymore.
No. Mm-mm.
So being in prison, like what was that? What was that like when it came down to like understanding that this is your first time being in this environment? Like how did you maneuver inside the walls?
Um,
To yourself, you stayed to
Honestly,
yourself.
oh yeah. I stayed to myself, I observed, and I followed whatever rules were implemented. I was lucky enough to be in a prison that was a little more structured than most. Um, so it was just, following the rules and feeling the situation out.
And was that difficult to do sometimes because so many other people break rules? Was it like
No,
was peer
because I didn't
pressure?
go in as a child. I went in. I was a woman. I was grown in my 30s. A lot of those women, they're in and out. They're used to it. I had a lot more to lose than most people. My priority was getting home to my son. That was my priority. Being able to see him every month at visitation was a priority. And in order to do that, I had to follow rules. You know?
So what were some things you did to pass time? Because that's slow
Oh
time.
yeah. So well, there's so much, reading, writing. They have, picked up 7 trades while I was in there. I did a lot with my time, spiritually growing. But I made a negative situation into a positive.
So did you find out more about yourself being having that time in prison that you actually like maybe looked inside yourself to see some other things that you've never seen before within you?
Yeah, you're in there with your demons. You're in there with your demons trying to, prison is a state of mind. So, you're in there, trapped. But, once you free this, time is a little easier. Focusing on positive makes it a little easier, you know?
So what was your relationship like with your family growing up?
We were close. I was adopted by my paternal grandparents. So I didn't know my biological mother. But I had a great upbringing, great parents. Couple of my siblings, we were able to be raised together. Overall, we were very close. We were a very close family, and it was great. I came from a good family.
So how did your family feel about the situation with
Not
you
happy.
incarcerated?
Not happy. First woman to go to prison. In the family, and a lot of high hopes for me. It was a shock for everybody, and everybody was devastated. It was a reflection on the whole family. My actions were a reflection on them. That's how they felt. So it was a difficult time.
So it affected many people within the family as
Right.
well.
Hmm.
So did you experience any bullying while in prison?
Oh yeah, yeah, but you know, I put the kibosh on that real quick. I don't take lightly to bullying. I'm a strong woman. I was I was made that way. I grew up that way. The oldest of 8. So, you
So
know,
you set the tone real
I
fast and
set the
early.
tone. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Nothing bad ever really happened to me in there. I saw a lot of things, but the grace of God, I made it out without anything really terrible happening.
So what was the relationships like? What relationships did you create like while you were in like friendships?
I tried to, stay to myself, but I did meet some amazing women, a lot of girls too, young girls, and the few that I forged were deep, and we still have a relationship to this day. Most of the friends that I had were mothers, and we all felt the loss of not being with our families and our children. So that kind of like brought me together with a few women throughout the years.
How was the relationship with the actual officers? Like, did you feel like you had a better relationship with different officers?
Oh yeah, yeah, because there's a lot of racism in prison and on all sides. And I mean, some officers, they were just nasty people, nasty souls, and they just treated people that way. Some of them weren't. Not everybody's bad. I actually have a very close relationship with one of the officers there. That was my boss for a couple of years. We bonded, and she no longer works for the Department of Corrections. A preacher, really amazing woman who helped me through my time. She's very, very near and dear to my heart. So, I mean, that was one of the biggest friendships that I made, and it was an officer.
So you feel like you have a lifelong mentor.
Absolutely.
So how was sharing that story of you getting incarcerated for cocaine trafficking to like people that didn't really know nothing about you, such as your husband?
We grew up together, so we haven't seen each other for many years. A lot of people were shocked to hear of why I was incarcerated in the first place. But people are very judgy. They're judgy, and being in prison, you're stigmatized. For the rest of your life. You could have a relationship with somebody or meet somebody, and then at the moment you say, "Well, I was incarcerated," the whole face changes. So I just try not to convey that too much to certain people. At the same time, I don't care, but it makes people uncomfortable. I can't rip myself open and show you my heart. People just want to judge. They're very judgy. So I try not to, you know, express that too much.
So at this point in your life, do you feel like some things happen for a reason?
Absolutely. I've always believed that. Even though I didn't never knew the answer to it. I've many, many nights stayed up praying, asking why. But, I made my bed. I had to lay in it. Yeah, I got snitched out by a family member, but that was all my fault. I don't put the blame on him 100% because in that life there's only two ways: death or prison. I guess I got the better end of the bargain. And in the drug life, that's all there is. Those are your very few people I see get out and leave that life behind and move on. It's very rare. But the lowest place you can be is death. Before that, what's after prison? What's underneath prison? Death. Those are your options. I made, like I said, I made my bed. I had to lay in it.
But you choose to live a different lifestyle.
Absolutely.
You feel like family is more important than taking risks.
Yeah. You know, I was a very self-absorbed, selfish person, and being locked up, having all that time to think. Yeah, you start realizing what's the importance in life, and it's family. For me, it's family, number one.
So what would you change if you could do it all over again?
Oh, would I change? I probably say to myself, if I had to go back, just be authentic, be real. That's not you. I would have changed some things. I thought I was unstoppable. I thought I was nothing can stop me.
Because before that happened, you had a job.
Yes, I worked. I worked, a couple. I had two jobs, and daycare, and the bills became overwhelming, and it was about money. And the moment that I got what I wanted from it, it became an addiction. So instead of taking a step back and okay, let's not do this anymore, I continued because that money was just so addicting. It was crazy.
You felt the 9 to 5 was slow money.
It was, well, yeah, it's slow money. But fast is the devil. So I
Because
wanted that.
you did what, 90% of your time?
Yeah. It's 85%.
85%.
85%. Yeah. Florida, every state is different. 85 Florida has an 85% of that's what you serve if you have good behavior. Some states have 65, some states have 45. This is one of the states that's 85. I think there's like four in the whole country, if I'm not mistaken. That's you have to serve 85% of your sentence.
So you was locked up during the pandemic. How was that?
Yeah, it was terrible. It was hard. They wouldn't tell us anything. They locked us in. No, they wouldn't give us any cleaning supplies, masks. They were feeding us rotten raw vegetables and green bologna. It was bad. It was hard because we didn't know what was happening. We thought we were gonna die. I mean, everybody did, but being incarcerated during that time was rough.
So you couldn't you couldn't wait to get the work release.
Oh yeah. Oh, I couldn't. I couldn't. As soon as they opened the gates, I was out. And work release was probably one of the worst experience I've had since I've been incarcerated. Was work release.
But wasn't it a good way to pass time as well?
Oh yeah, you get to you have a job and you have a phone. You have more freedoms. You know, well they want you to think that you do. you know, and it was sketchy. It was a sketchy experience.
During the time that you was incarcerated, was it were they allowing early release for anyone during that time?
In the prison that I was stationed at, I think I saw one person leave out of 800, 700 women. One person was released early. And then I think a couple of more were fighting their case and they kind of gave it to them. So like in total, maybe 3 or 4 women were released. I think the early release was more for like federal prisons. I served state prison time.
So what's your life like now? Like being released from prison, like how do you view things now? Like I know you talked earlier about family's important, but like as far as just your freedom of being appreciative of your freedom knowing you did 6 years, like what are some things now that you really cherish besides family?
Oh, let me see. Food, fruits, the ocean, being able to stay up past 10 o'clock. I mean, the little things, tiny little small things, it brings me joy, things that I didn't have for many years. Being able to drive or go shopping, just stuff like that. Take the kid to the park, stuff, little things, really.
So do you feel right now in your life you're in a good space when it comes to the support?
Yes, I have a very good support system. What they do to you when there's a mental breakdown. So when I knew that, but when I came home, I wasn't expecting that. The life that I had before, it was no more. That person that I was before was gone. Now I'm just more of a homebody, just want to be with the family. But now it's been over a year. Like I said, I've been adjusting much better now. I can drive and not, be nervous about anything. I'm not even doing anything wrong. And I just felt like freedom was just going to get swept under my feet again. Even though I wasn't doing anything, that's what my mental was like. And just the realization that, there's even in dark places that there's good people
And hope.
and hope. Yep.
So what would you say to someone that's fast money? There's consequences behind it.
There's some consequences behind it. You don't realize it. I mean, I have to tell my kids all the time. If you haven't been through this type of experience, you can't wrap your mind around it. You can't wrap your mind around what's at the end of that road, because you're thinking it's all fun and games, and then you get to the end of that road, and it's not what you expected. Life can change in an instant, in a second, split second, and your choices have consequences. I would recommend abort mission to anybody that's going down that lifestyle. The world is abundant. We all have our gifts, and I would recommend using those gifts for something positive in your life. You can make money. There's so many ways to make money, especially these days, in a legal perspective.